Hello and welcome to your daily dose of Satoshi's news. Today's date is Wednesday the 9th of July 2025, the year BSV comes alive. Branch your threads, expand your mind with treechat.ai or your post put on chain. Right, let's see what we've got today. Gonna have to go through some of these posts on my feed again, just people's opinions about this 80,000 BTC moving. They got an 80,000 BTC move for the first time since 2011. OG bought for under 200k, now worth 40,000x. All this kind of stuff. Oh, great, that picture isn't. Oh, there we go. Let's come up there. That's kind of cool. Got this post here that I want to read through. Just outlining a few scenarios about what it could be. Gonna have to talk about Centbee. Unfortunately, it's not looking good at all. I don't know what is going on. Their last post was the 1st of July, obviously with the release of Terranode. However, their domain name is now offline. Their support is not working. Emails are being returned. It's not good. BitCrash was talking about the OneFeeX wallet address. He said first notice 30th of June 2022, 3 months notice. 3 years later, second notice 1st of July 2025, 90 days notice. So it appeared in the Financial Times under legal notice saying we're going to claim this address. And here it is now in this Solomon Brothers one, speculate on what's going on there. Got a post here from CSW, another one of his posts on Medium. It actually looks really good. We'll just spend a bit of time reading through that. It looks really good. It's one of his personal pieces there. Crypto Tweaks has just pointed out here that both myself and him have been mentioned on a list here. It said search results for particular addresses, but down here you can't really see it. But it looks like someone has put my name there in an email. I can't quite see it, but some tomfoolery going on there. Got to talk about this just for general woke absolute bullshit. Jury-free trials. Well, how can you have a trial without a jury? Jury-free trials. They must think we're so effing dumb. Recommended to save courts from collapse. This is absolute tyranny. Oh yeah, we're just going to decide what to do with you. No, nobody's got the authority to decide what to do with you. Has to be a trial by jury. I know, Bob, but now we're having jury-free trials. Oh great, jury-free. No, there's no jury there. It's an administration process. Good grief. We'll have a quick look at the figures. Again, CoinDart's not really reporting what's going on with genuine Bitcoin. We'll have a look at the figures here on Orange Gateway. Some 365 days of Bitcoin history. And then that will be the end of the show when we finish with a calendar countdown. Right, let's get into it.
Satoshi, like a cowboy in the West, riding on the blockchain that they call the very best. 1 million strong, them transactions flying free. Just wait for the Terra node, you'll surely see.
Here we go. Right, so let's start off with these. Crypto Stage has said, funny how 80,000 BTC moved without selling, crashed the price 2%. Well, it's not really a crash, is it? But governments printing trillions is good for the economy. One's honest price discovery, the other's organised theft. Again, organised theft through inflation is what he's going on about. But we know that Tether printed was 700 million to keep the market afloat when that moved. But let's get into this. This is quite an interesting post here with regard to, again, the 80,000 Bitcoin. Let's have a read. So GRM said here, what if the biggest Gregcoin move of the decade was actually orchestrated by Craig Wright himself? On July 4th, 80,000 Gregcoin worth over $8 billion was suddenly moved from wallets that had been completely inactive since 2011. Clean, mysterious, almost perfectly timed. Now a bold theory is gaining ground. This wasn't a hack or a technical exploit. It might have been a calculated, legal and symbolic move by Craig Wright, the man who's been claiming for years that he's Bitcoin's creator. Quick refresher test if you're not deep in the crypto world. Craig Wright is a controversial Australian entrepreneur who has claimed since 2016. Well, again, he didn't claim that. He was first outed by Gizmodo and Wired magazine in 2015, December 2015. But they're saying, he all he did was admit it. After that, it's just like, oh, yeah, okay, well, but he never claimed that. He just admitted what they were saying. So anyway, Australian entrepreneur who has claimed since 2016 that he is Satoshi Nakamoto, the creator of Bitcoin. David Kleiman was a computer forensics expert who died in 2013. Wright has long said that they were partners in creating Bitcoin. From 2018 to 2021, the Kleiman versus Wright lawsuit focused on who had the rights to the early Bitcoin wallets, allegedly containing hundreds of thousands of BTC, 1.1 million actually. So why do people think Wright might be behind this? Some of the wallets that moved BTC on July 4th are directly linked to David Kleiman and were referenced in the lawsuit. At the exact time those 80,000 BTC were moved, Wright published a legal attack on Bitcoin. The timing is just too close to ignore. The transaction was done under a fake legal entity called Salomon Brothers, an old official brand that appears to have been revived or spoofed to give the move some kind of legal cover. And the whole thing just feels like Wright. It's full of his usual signals, provocation like FUCK embedded in the address, obscure pop culture references, numbers from Lost, and a mix of legal threats and technical flexing. But what if it wasn't him? There are other possibilities being thrown around. Maybe it was a US government agency like the IRS or FBI running a test on how traceable old Bitcoin really is. Maybe it was a targeted phishing attack on early Bitcoin whales using fake IDs or even malicious Zoom invites. Maybe it was just a rightful heir quietly regaining access to a forgotten wallet. And honestly, there is still no proof that Wright has the private keys. He could just be trying to ride the wave and claim credit for something he had nothing to do with. It wouldn't be the first time, really. Why this is such a big deal, it raises questions about how secure early Bitcoin wallets really are today. It challenges assumptions about who actually owns historical coins, and maybe most interestingly, it shows how crypto now operates across multiple layers, not just code and money, but also law and narrative. This whole story could reshape how we think about Bitcoin ownership and how the strange evolving relationship between technology, legal identity, and storytelling in the crypto space. And he gives credit here. He said thanks to Cyphertux, which I received from GM Web3 on Friday 11:30 a.m. A few other handles there, and others who were clearing up the sprawling story. It is indeed a sprawling story. Very good way of putting it. Yeah, loving that. That was quite a good article, that one. Let's just have a listen to this. Somebody said, well. I mean, if you've not heard this before, you've got to hear it. Check this out.
Are you a Zionist?
That was somebody asking Keir Starmer. He said, are you a Zionist?
Are you a Zionist?
I don't know how many people know this. My parents' family are Jewish, and we've got extended family in Israel. We feel this every day. I don't describe myself as a Zionist, but I understand and I sympathise and I support Zionism. So I wouldn't describe myself in that way. But of course, we have family in Israel, and that is part of my family.
So that means he's got no right to be Prime Minister of the United Kingdom. What the fuck? Anyway, let's move on here. Kurt Wartuck Jr. said, every time there's an issue with Centbee, people ask me for help on how to export and import into a new wallet. Does anyone have the definitive answer or a guide? He said, the issue I've seen with Centbee is the PIN might be included somehow in the import to a new wallet. Does anyone have a definitive guide on how to import Centbee wallets or something else? Yeah, I think the whole community needs help with this. So anybody from the technical team, CoinGeek, what was N-Chain, or anybody could do with help. Scott said here, so is Centbee done now then, or are they trying to fix the issue with patience thing? With patience, things will go back to normal. And Kurt said, not sure. Truth Machine has said the pin is needed. I have a tutorial. There we go. Fantastic stuff. Fantastic stuff. Right, so people can... I might pin that tweet below so people can have a read through it when if they need it. But I'm absolutely gutted. Absolutely gutted about Centbee here. So yeah, when you click on the website, this is what you get. Can't be reached. Emails are being returned as not being received. But they said here on the 1st of July, hi, we're aware that some wallets are not syncing properly with the network. We're working on resolving the issue. Thank you for being patient with us. This doesn't sound like Lorian at all to say something like that. Call me paranoid conspiracy theorist, but it sounds to me like it looks to me like the deep state might have got their clutches with him, because initially it was just like, oh yeah, bear with us, the wallet's going down, move your bitcoins if you want to use them. We're just going to be upgrading for SPV for the Terra node. And now this, it really looks fishy, and it doesn't seem like the sort of thing that the Centbee guys would just simply do, leaving people in the dark. They would give people notice, say, look, we're shutting down the wallet. This is the sort of thing the deep state would do when they're taking control of something. It does concern me. Does concern me a lot, actually. So yeah, anyway. BitCrash said here, the 1FX wallet address first notice was 30th of June 2022, 3 months notice, and then 3 years later, second notice, 1st of July 2025, a 90-day notice. So this was the notice of ownership of digital assets, Bitcoin. Tulip Trading Limited, international business company number with registration offices in the Seychelles. It said, hereby give notice that Tulip Trust Trading Limited is the owner of the digital assets, including Bitcoin, in the following addresses on the Bitcoin BSV, so-called Bitcoin Core, BTC, so-called BCH, and so-called XEC blockchain networks. And here it is, the 1FX address. So, albeit with a lowercase, I think that's a lowercase I for the final letter, in the case of the BCH network and this one here, together, the addresses and the digital assets. So they're saying that Tulip Trust Trading lost control of the digital assets in the addresses as a result of the private keys that were required to control and spend the digital assets being unlawfully accessed and deleted by persons unknown in a hack of a computer systems belonging to Tulip Trust Tulip Trading Limited's CEO, Dr. Craig Wright, which took place between the 5th and the 8th of February 2020. As such, Tulip Trading Limited is taking steps to recover and control of the digital assets in the addresses. Wow, so they're already saying that these addresses belong to Craig Wright. And this was back in 2022. This was when he was pursuing the fiduciary duty of the developers, to be able to return the coins. So it's already been noted there that the Craig Wright has said, look, these were hacked from my computer, and that's the address that now contains some of the Bitcoin. And then 3 years later, the second notice, 1st of July 2025, now giving 90-day notice, which is 3 months. And again, people suspicious about this, but whatever. Let's see if we can find the reference to the address in here. The digital assets appears to be lost or abandoned. Our client has taken constructive possession of it and seeks to determine if there is a bona fide owner. So their client, who's their client? Could that be Craig? Could that be Blockstream? Who's doing this? This legal notice is posted pursuant to and in compliance with applicable law, which is intended to provide an opportunity for the owner to claim property otherwise qualifying as lost or abandoned. The owner is provided 90 days to respond to this notice. In other words, an owner with valid proof of ownership must respond before October 5th, 2025. If no response is received, the digital wallets and their contents will be considered to be confirmed as abandoned. In sum, the lack of a response may be provided to a court as evidence or of the relinquishment of all rights, title and interest in the digital wallets. This is an important legal notice, and rights could be adversely impacted if the bona fide owner of this digital wallet does not respond. So that first notice said that Craig is the owner of these, well, in that 1FX address. Is it mentioned here? Using the keys associated with interesting. So it said here, even the 1FX wallet got the legal notice. Yeah, we've taken possession of this wallet. and its contents. But who is we? Who is the royal we? There we go. But so Truth Machine here, Ever is on it, said the Salomon Brothers page has been removed, a likely phishing attempt. Was it a likely phishing attempt, or are they taking it down because they don't want CSW claiming ownership of those coins? That's what it is. Maybe that's what it is. They don't want CSW proving that he is the actual legal and lawful and rightful owner of those coins, because he could easily do that. He can prove that they were in his possession and that they somehow got hacked and moved. So Truth Machine said, what will happen in 90 days? Mooncoin said here, this is actually really interesting. I've had 3 theories on the recent notices. It's a BTC friendly that plans to preemptively steal freeze Satoshi's coins. BSV friendly, trying to push Craig to act, or it's Craig setting foundation to access back through courts minor control. Yeah, they're all very likely scenarios there. Let's get on to one of Craig's posts here. He said, formal refutation of the blockchain trilemma. This paper develops a complex framework for artificial intelligence systems that operate under strict epistemic constraints, moving beyond stochastic language prediction to support constructed reasoning, propositional comment and contradiction detection. It formalizes belief representation, metacognitive process, and normative verification, integrating symbolic inference, knowledge graphs, and blockchain-based justification to ensure truth-preserving, audibly rational epistemic agents. That's all I can say to that one. Let's see what is here. A formal refutation of a blockchain trilemma. I'll just have a look at this. So when was this posted? 8th of July, so it was just yesterday. The so-called blockchain trilemma asserts the impossibility of simultaneously achieving scalability, security, and decentralization within a single blockchain protocol. In this paper, we formally refute that proposition, employing predicate logic, formal automata theory, computational complexity analysis, and graph theoretic measures of relay topology, specifically Barron's model of network path redundancy. We demonstrate that the trilemma constitutes a category error, conflates distinct analytical domains, and relies upon unproven causal assumptions. We further expose its reliance on composition fallacies drawn from flawed system implementations. A constructive counterexample is presented. A blockchain protocol exhibiting unbounded transaction throughput, cryptographic security, and under adversarial load, and multipath decentralized propagation. This example is not hypothetical but grounded in protocol design enabled by compact block relay SPV verification and IPv6 multicast. The trilemma is revealed not as a law of protocol architecture but as a heuristic fallacy sustained by imprecision and designed defeatism. Oh, so in other words, like, you know, it's been constructed. It's just propaganda, basically, that it can't maintain decentralization and all that. What an epic paper. Someone did send me something like that. What's this? Is that a link to the document? Interesting. Let's just go back to my messages here. Here we go. Thanks to Happy Camber for sending this through. Oh, yeah. Never find it when you really want it, can you? We'll come back to it. But I've got a link to a paper that Craig had written for Exeter University, saying the same sort of thing there. But fascinating stuff. So let's get on to this. 20 minutes gone already. Time flies when you're having fun. This is quite a big article, but we'll just see what he says here. Because it's just him talking about his personal thoughts on this. So he said, proof of work. In 2016, I could have come forward and jumped through many hoops in a vain attempt to have people like and accept me. Vain, as it is not a result that will ever be achieved. The crypto community is not seeking Satoshi. They want a constructed myth that allows them to believe they can have an anonymous system of money, and those things parliaments seek to stop. They can allow. They would not want me, as the system I created is not anonymous and it cannot be made to be anonymous. Yeah, because it's private, but again, they conflate the two. The nature of a blockchain is a system that acts as an immutable and admissible evidence stop that binds both the individual and the system they exist with. In 2016, I wasn't ready for a start. I hadn't planned on being outed in 2015. Again, that was December 2015. Even if it was probably a result of my own cockiness. Well, it was actually, funnily enough, it was Ira Kleiman that was feeding all the knowledge about Craig to Gizmodo and Wired Magazine. Ira Kleiman being the adopted brother of David Kleiman, who's Craig's best friend. So stabbing him in the back, basically. He said, but the so-called sign publicly and everyone will know mantra doesn't exactly prove anything. And the people selling that story know perfectly well that such is the case. Of course, what they are also selling is a quick fix. None of them want Bitcoin. They're all seeking something different and in trying to change the system to deliver it. In vain, then they get to get rich in a Ponzi scheme. And they tried their best when the house of cards comes inevitably crashing down. I said that's a prediction when their house of cards comes crashing down. Because they've turned it into a Ponzi scheme. We all know this. In May 2016, I came to the conclusion that the best I could hope for in signing publicly and doing everything that would be needed would be the exact opposite of proof. I would start by signing, and then there would be other questions. The ones more greedy and undeserving individuals, such as Ira Kleiman, would come out expecting much more and saying that somehow I had stolen keys and I never had access to. It does not matter that there is not actually possible, let alone feasible, on Bitcoin. It would no longer be enough to try and blackmail me into making them instantly rich, but to see a long-term gravy train. And again, he's talking about giving half of these Satoshi coins away. Most people, even those in crypto, don't understand Bitcoin. There are those I trust and those I don't. They fail to understand that you cannot simply steal someone's keys without access. They fail to see the issue that collapsed eCash, and they rarely care. But such is the problem. Bitcoin is a completely new narrative. It alters everything, and in 20 to 30 years from now, people will not recognize the world we're in because of Bitcoin. Well, let's hope so. Because obviously the cabal are bringing in the totalitarian one world government quicker than they thought they ever would have to. We've got here saying the wild web. In the untamed frontier of online investing, bulletin boards and home pages, insider tips too often come from outlaws. Yeah, very true. Very true. That was by Gregory Spears. All right. A decade ago, 10 years ago, when I created the site and released Bitcoin, I didn't always check who and where I gave credit to. The problem that I never really thought about was that everyone in the space seems to have wanted an anonymous system. The issues created with an anonymous system is exactly what Bitcoin solves. Bitcoin proves pseudonymous transactions and removes anonymity altogether. The source of the problem goes a long way back as to why any anonymous system wouldn't work. Well, it's because anonymous systems are centrally controlled and therefore they are securitized networks. So that's why it's never going to work. There was a paper done as a quick montage in 1997 titled Unintended Consequences of eCash. The notion of an anonymous system barely scratched the surface of the issue, and others have gone far deeper in tracing and recovering and how this impacts monetary system. The bad news and the author's prediction on why anonymous money will not happen hold just as true then as now. Well, again, because a common network requires common accountability in the private. Regulators and law enforcement are not going to allow or change the law to remove the legal restrictions and prohibitions on the issuance of anonymous and semi-anonymous cash. What people don't understand is that it actually ends up restricting rights of speech when you seek an anonymous cash system. The creation of anonymous rather than pseudonymous system allows for a further restriction, as courts can then tie anonymous speech to terrorist money laundering and other nefarious activities. Yeah, so they purposely try and get rid of it because they don't control it. And anonymous transactions are anything but anonymous. I wrote years ago about web bugs, and the irony in creating an anonymous cash system is that it leads to a profiling system that allows everything you do to be mapped and modeled and opens the regulatory requirements to enact it. If you want privacy, the last thing you want is anonymous money, because anonymous money allows every action to be traced using legally viable methods and law. With anonymous money, government and regulators have methodologies to supplant social media, ISPs, and the entire framework surrounding the system in a manner that allows complete profiling and capturing not only all the use you like to believe is anonymous, but in fact everything you do. In Bitcoin, I didn't create a proof of work nor find a manner of getting it to work, as Hal Finney had done so many years earlier. I didn't create the construction, such as Merkle tree or a tree of signatures, as was constructed by Lamport in 1979. Bitcoin uses technology to achieve a means of structuring an economic security system. I didn't create anonymous systems, I created a system that works with logs and within the legal framework that exists within the common law world. That's a really important one. Working within the common law world. I created a form of money, well, it's a digital commodity is what I created, that I posit is a sound commodity, oh, there we go, because it's an informal service and hence an information commodity. A system that scales because of competitive engagement and that has no single point of failure at scale through the fact that organizations compete and seek to maximize profit. The problem with David Trom's eCash system comes from anonymity and the perverse fact that a more anonymous system leads to a more restricted one. If you remove all tracing from money, you just create an incentive to allow restrictions on everything, including free speech, and destroy the thing you want to introduce and create. Bitcoin works because corporations fight to integrate enough technology, enough network capacity, and enough infrastructure to ensure that the network is secure and well connected. Most importantly, many individual miners compete in either BTC or ETH even now. Well, actually, that was before they moved it to proof of stake. We see less than 20 nodes on the network. A node is a single instance of a validating entity. Such can be distributed across many machines and take up an entire data center, as I hinted to in 2010. And yet, if one of these nodes fails, the profitability for others increases, attracting others to take their place. In time, I don't expect to see 20 miners. I would expect to see upwards of 1,000. Governments and banks will want to protect their local environments and interests. Again, local environments and interests meaning their own digital requirements on their own Bitcoin servers, effectively. And it's very likely that each of them will start acting to protect the network as Bitcoin and the Metanet grow to encompass everything we're doing. Well, he was talking about Metanet there. When was this published? Oh yeah, 2019. Fair dues, fair dues. The thing that is new with Bitcoin is the move away from anonymity and finding a balance point on the knife edge of pseudonymous transactions, a system that allows privacy and yet simultaneously remains within the aspects of the law, and one that allows practically every country on Earth opening traceability for users and the ability to maintain their own information in a manner that has never been achieved before. The true secret of Bitcoin is that it is a mutable and unalterable evidence trail. A system that will identify registration for corporate groups, allowing only a single set of corporate books, will stop every further Bernie Madoff scenario. It will stop records being altered, such as with the Enron, and will radically alter the face of modern accounting. Well, again, yeah, this is where we're going to have triple entry accounting, so that you can't have two sets of books. You have literally one book that everybody can validate. That's like the third party, effectively. It of course scares people. There is a lot of money being made in the false narrative that Bitcoin and associated systems are there to free the world from anarchy. More importantly, there are a lot of people making money in insider trading and dumping vicarious penny share offers in a manner that has been done every decade, as people tend so easily to forget the last scam. None of such people want what Bitcoin is. To them, Bitcoin is the Antichrist, the bringer of the end, and all they desire to be. For Bitcoin leaves an unalterable trail of all the scammers and all the false information. Yeah, absolutely exposes everything, and they can't get away with it because they can't delete it. It is the Enrons, the Madoffs, and the Charles Ponzis that seek for records to be forever lost. Absolutely. There has not been one single ICO that is not a scam. If you're raising capital to build a company, you sell the business for the company, what can be created and how you're going to create it. Selling a pre-sale, a paid invoice for goods that are never delivered, is all that the so-called utility tokens are. Most importantly, they are old scams in new bottles. It is the analogous scenario of the web in the 90s and the Usenet penny share scams. Both sprung up and disappeared with the inventors' money just as quickly. The zero-sum scam are what we see in ICOs and a new coin offering that are going to radically alter the world in a new ecosystem of blockchains. The issue is there can only be one blockchain. Absolutely, because data can only be commoditized one way. It is a protocol war, like the internet before it, Bitcoin, and by extension, a blockchain from a system underlying everything else. When you have one blockchain, it is stronger than many. A part of the issue is the economics of the system. It leads to a strong single system or many extremely weak and fragmented systems that end in death and destruction. No matter what I do, I will never live up to the standards that some people want. The reason is I'm not what people want. I'm not an antichrist. I do not believe in a world without government, and I do not have thoughts of a worldwide banking. Bitcoin does not bring capital funding into the unbanked and of itself. Doesn't bring funding into it because it is the commodity itself. Just the use adds value to it. It is a depository and a form of money that allows for payment and very simple saving, but does not introduce capital raising and many of the other aspects banks provide. Bitcoin can be the foundation of a system that allows the unbanked to become banked. It does not start with anonymity, it requires identity and reputation. As soon as I prove conclusively to everyone it ends work. There are those I trust and those I don't. I trust some of my business partners such as Jimmy, Calvin and others. I will not go into detail. But some people would prefer a quick win. They just want to make money and get out. I saw it all too clearly in 2016. More importantly, others that I have no involvement with would use it in a manner I could never accept. As soon as I conclusively give everything I know, it will be used for a quick pump followed by a very quick dump. Not one part of it will lead to Bitcoin being implemented or innovators building. Such was the dilemma I had to face in 2016, and then even in 2017 when I started to appear again. What happens if too many people simply believe not because of work but mere belief? The uninformed religious dogma that has filled the space. It is going to take a long time to slowly teach people how Bitcoin works and what it delivers, and I can't do so unless I work. I understand the path which I've chosen is something that will sit on my shoulders for a long time. It is not one where people adore me or like what I'm saying, but rather one of truth. It is the harder path and the longer path. My part is to build and teach. There are people I will choose to categorically prove to, and those people are ones that will also have a hard path, for we will build. The biggest difficulty is not simply aligning people or finding something that can align long term. My vision, path and strategy will take many years. Not the 10 that have been seen publicly with Bitcoin, nor the 10 before that, but decades more from there and more from here and the point we're at. I'm doing so. There are certain things I can do very well and others that are best handed off to others. The dilemma, simply put, stems from trust. In Bitcoin, trust comes through investment. Miners have to put large amounts of capital into a competitive system that works if they support the system. Long term, the miners who do not support the growth of the system will find themselves in a severely depleted capital scenario. In Bitcoin, we have a signaling method that allows people to easily understand the investment and support within the system. The difficulty comes when considering one's own life. In my case, there isn't a simple external proof of work derivative that I can use. Others can see it for me. I'm writing here. I had formal papers accepted for peer review conferences today. I'm not complete. At current point, 1,168 white papers that will result in a total of 2 to 3 patents in papers for each white paper. We're scaling Bitcoin, and later in the year we will have a more transactional capacity than Visa and MasterCard combined. Oh, and he wrote this in 2019. With everything in life, we need to choose what we do and how we focus. In my case, my involvement in the accounting, day-to-day management and financial aspects of the company are minimal. The time I have focused on such areas I do not excel at resulted in the consequences of not being able to produce the best results in what matters most: research and development. Consequently, you either focus where you are best or fail. The difficulty comes in signaling from others. In early 2016, I didn't trust my own instincts, and I was led down a path that I did not like. I understand why people did so. There are always ones who want a quick return. I understand it perfectly well. For a small investment, a small part of something, why not take the opportunity to make multiple $billion sales where your investment will increase 10 times or more in a matter of months? I get it perfectly well, and so is the problem. I can definitely prove who I am. Yes, I can very simply, but what does it achieve long term? Doing things too quick leads to trouble. It's not a matter of signing with keys alone. There are people who already know I could do so, and which of the early keys they saw, and I know I have access to it. Yet it does nothing to help with repudiation. There is a problem in it. In the IT and the cryptographic community, in thinking that code creates law, or for that matter, the code can capture the real world. It doesn't, and it can't. There are actually no such things as non-repudiation. A few academics residing in ivory towers like to believe cryptographic solutions can be archived here, and many fools believe them. Unfortunately, such people ignore the law. The key is not to identity. It can be shared, stolen, copied or assigned. In a court, you have to attest to a key. So the funny thing is, all the people such as Wired asking how do I prove, and going to the people who don't want proof is so much of a joke. Likely, I don't care. Using my dilemma, not getting into the media for selling myself to raise money or prancing around the television shows, my issue is something that many in the past would understand and that I can imagine personally. When Getty had to consider what would happen after he finished for the fate of his company, the issue was succession. He worked to the very end, as shall I. But what about other people? My goal is creation. It's building something that will last. It's not about being liked. It's not about being nice or liked. It is simply creating a structure that's going to last. One that will not have people selling out under me, and one that allows people to build over time. I understand the temptation very well. Money is actually incredibly addictive. Maintaining the balance is something that takes a lot of discipline and work in ensuring that you don't give up the reason why you have wealth, and that you keep building is an interesting dilemma in itself. It is also a power in keeping something to yourself. There is a little vestige in that you can make sure people will hold on and keep building and not take the easy gain and stop. I don't want to be remembered because I was yet another billionaire or I came up with an idea and moved on. I seek nothing less than creating a commercial replacement for the entire internet. Brilliant. One that solves the tragedy of the commons. Oh, beautiful. One that solves the tragedy of the commons. Yeah, loving that. And for those who don't know it, tragedy of the commons is about those taking more than they need, because if they don't, somebody else will take it. And at the same time provides a global commodity that becomes a money. Sound money. Again, it becomes a money. Money has to be recognized. A sound money, a global money, and the means of measuring economic information as we move into an information economy. I would like to have far more publications, and I'm working on it. but mostly I intend to see a Bitcoin scale into global economic system and become the plumbing for the information world. So I'm not asking you to believe me, I really don't care. I've set up an evidential trail that now ensures my place in history. Something people don't understand about Bitcoin is that it is also a time lock. Bitcoin with the N lock time allows for the pseudonymous release of information at a defined time. It's concept that I took from Asimov. It is aimed to ensure that information is provably released when the author chooses, only when the author chooses. So no matter what happens to me, I know my place in history. It's a very good feeling, that one. I also say that I'm far more from done. It's taken me 20 years to build the foundation, and now the edifice needs to be constructed. Later in the year, I'm going to start tearing down many of the myths. Lightning is a dead end. Decentralization is but a tool, and taken too far is a drug that will kill its host. The mathematics are actually fairly simple. In some ways, the narratives about me have actually been quite good. For me, at least, I published in peer-reviewed journals and conferences. They accept blinded submissions. In other words, they are judged on the quality of my work. The opinions of the Twitter trolls came to mean nothing. Such is the point of blinding in academic publications. It is only the quality of one's work that matters. I expect to have around 70 publications for the current year, excluding patents of course. Such publications will be on mathematics, economics, game theory, law, history, computer science and epidemiology. They are some of the topics required to understand Bitcoin and blockchain fully. Like it or not, here there is nothing that you can do to stop it. Whether you like me or not, here lies the real interesting part. Back to my dilemma. How to find people when engaged in the creation of a system that will alter the world, who seek more than short-term gain. People not simply seeking money, but rather to alter the fabric of the world in history. I believe I found some. I see it in Calvin, I see it in Jimmy, and I see it in Steve. Oh, that Steve Shadows. That was a bit of a mistake there. There are other people I will not dox and call out. But they exist in the background. Such people understand the long term, and by long term I don't mean 6 to 12 months. How do you find someone willing to work the next decade? Over the next 20 years, all of it become clear. I expect before my time is through to publish in the order of 3,000 patents and 5,000 or more peer-reviewed publications. At such a point, it becomes rather difficult to hide. I'm not publishing them pseudonymously or anonymously, but rather as myself. I can achieve such an end because of the wonderful team I've finally built to support me and the help I get from external parties to keep much of the problems of my life away from me. There are many people who will not see my vision and many more who will not support it, yet it has come too far to stop it. The question is now, how do I find the people we need? More importantly, how do I find people I can trust? Such is the dilemma that is not posted by the trolls and haters. They love to call me a scam and say that I won't do what they wish. Honestly, I find it quite funny. You see, it's them, the others that seek from me. I wonder how many of you actually thought about it. The call for me to prove. If Craig Wright does not say that he created Bitcoin and sign and dance and do a jig the way we want, he must be a fraud. As if it's their adoration that I would seek or want. It's hilarious actually when you think about it. In proving to the fools that I can sign a key publicly, I open the next round of attacks. I also enable some people to make a quick pump and gain and exit. It doesn't interest me. I don't get any special favors when filing patents because I'm Satoshi. I don't get any special favors when I'm submitting a paper to academic blind review to be in being Satoshi. In fact, they have no idea that I'm Craig Wright until they accept my paper. When I finish my current round of studies and sign up for my next PhD, being Satoshi will gain me nothing. So I'm going to do things my way. It's a long path, it's a hard path covered with thorny bushes and surrounded by brambles. Yet it's the one I've chosen, and to me it's incredibly rewarding. It's one where I will teach governments and institutions about the future. It's not one the fools from Anonymous and lulls and the idiots that have become after the groups will be part of, thank God. It's a world where I release what I want as I choose. It's a world where if you have to come to my attention and are doing something wrong, I'm going to target you. The hardest part of all of this understanding that one day I'll be put in a position that no other person has ever been in, and from there I need to choose a path or road of succession. It's a part of why I study Rome and Marcus Aurelius and Octavius. All things are finite, and in my case succession is something that needs to be planned carefully, but for the time being the immediate needs are being planned carefully. It's a path that is going to make me seem like a hard and callous bastard. It's the only one I can choose. One thing I've learned in all the time is that vigilance matters. Even when bringing something good into the world, one needs to be cognizant of Machiavelli and his prince. It is not whether people like you, for even the most loved had enemies. My path is simple, it's complexity. I hold a key, a methodology, a way to definitively prove, and over time I will release parts of the story bit by bit. As I do, I utterly destroy the scammers in the industry. I will bring down the ones seeking to make criminal industries out of Bitcoin and blockchain, and I will alter the path of the industry, and I don't care if you like it, for it's what I'm going to do. In doing so, I'm going to create more wealth than I believe anyone could ever imagine. I certainly cannot. What's that? In doing so, I'm going to create more wealth than I believe anyone could possibly imagine. I certainly cannot. And I'm going to make other people wealthy, in some cases wealthier than they could ever imagine. More importantly, other people who are partnered with me, I'm going to make immense sums. And here is the rub. They're going to work like they have never worked before. It's how to see it actually progressing. I don't see anyone getting in and getting out with the sort of gains that happened as the scammers milked people of their money in the past and in the start of the industry. Because as much as other people want, sometimes for me, sometimes for themselves, a definitive proof, a moment and something they can run with is a bang. There is none. There is a long path where we create a future, a global interconnected world. Oh, wow. What an epic article that was. Should have just done a show on that. I'm only 46 minutes gone already. Wow. Just quickly then, Crypto Tweaks posted it. He said, hey Craig, CSW, can you please shed some light over this fuckery? More specifically, the last PGP key on the list. Do these people hijack and took possession of one of your old keys before kicking you out of their club? And who the F added me and Satoshi to the list? So the PG key fingerprints, I think that was in the Tulip Trust document, said search results for this. I think that's a key there. Yeah. And Crypto Tweaks is mentioned here, but I'm also mentioned there. I can't quite read this because it's too small. Shame I can't enlarge it. But in that topic there, it says Satoshi at gmx.com. Like literally Satoshi at gmx.com. And then somebody said here, Crypto Tweaks at, I think that's Gump or Pump or Gump.org, pump.org maybe. Yeah. Something about whatever the fuck you want in here. Yeah, but anyway, SIR, TOSHI is in there, and Crypto Tweaks is also mentioned. Cool! That's called notoriety. I'll take that. So quickly then, so Informed Consent Matt said, it has been my opinion for some time that this is one of the agenda items being propelled by the intense media focus on the Lucy Letby case to eliminate trial by jury. Please see below for more. And look at these douchebags. Look at that. So the reason he's in a wig there and dressed like that is because, again, summoning the dead. It's literally all a facade. It's totally corrupt. Jury-free trials. Give me a break. How jury-free? You mean there's a trial without a jury? You can't have a trial without a jury. You mean you've got someone single making a decision which they've got no authority to do whatsoever. I mean this is what the BBC do these days. Absolutely outrageous. So have a quick look at the figures then. We've got Grapecoin, $109,000. More interested in the blocks coming through. Oh, not too bad there. 51,000 times cheaper to transact on Bitcoin than Grapecoin. Mining Bitcoin at 82.6% comparable loss. So have a look at the politics in the pie charts because that's where it is. Global hash rate 7 days. Global hash rate 24 hours. Grapecoin hash rate other miners 6.9. B crashed other minus 21.5. Fisher price cash, new ones on there. CK pool, yeah. Let's have a quick look at the prices. So we're at $25.43. So ever since we had a low here on the 4th of July, we're now the 9th. It's gone up from $23.50 to $25. Not that that's a big return, but let's see that compared to the big dog. Oh, we're doing all right since 4th of July. That was the low point. Oh, 4th of July. Yeah, that's all right. 365 days of Bitcoin history. Check this out. So the 9th of July 2014 said judge shoots down Bitcoin isn't money argument in Silk Road case. The government and legal community may still be arguing over whether Bitcoin can be defined as money, but the judge presiding over the landmark Silk Road case, Silk Road drug case, has declared that it is at least close enough to get you locked up for money laundering. That was in Wired magazine. 9th of July 2016, the second halving day. Oh, so check it out. The anniversary of the second halving. The block rewards was decreased for the second time in Bitcoin history, resulting in a new reward of 12.5 Bitcoins per mined per block. The automatic 50% drop continued Bitcoin's original design to gradually decrease the number of newly created Bitcoins until the block reward ends completely, which is estimated to occur in the year 2140. The block reward halving occurs every 210,000 blocks, and the next halving day is expected to occur in July 2020. Well, we've already had that one. 9th of July 2021, they said Square plans to make that'd be a great coin, hard wallet. Payments company Square Incorporated confirmed they will make a hardware wallet for Gradecoin. The firm decided to build a hardware wallet and a service to make Gradecoin custody more mainstream. Yeah, not using it. It's all about store of bullshit. Anyway, there we go. 50 minutes. It's because of the article. We're at day 71 on the countdown, on the Kellenschweller countdown, with it being the 9th of July. Stay tuned. You're not going to want to miss this. Remember to hit like and press the subscribe button. So until then, be aware, take care, stay safe out there, and we'll see you in the next one.
2 years ago, you got SegWit, which we lied and cheated and stealed, and I was part of the lying and cheating and stealing to get SegWit, to get Lightning, which, by the way, had critical vulnerabilities and lost people's money.
The king still has one more move.
Remember, Bitcoin is BSV. Everything else is BS.